Thank you very much for your time today, Secretary of State. You said this morning that the government fully supports the prevention of Iran getting a nuclear weapon, and now, given the caveats of we need to wait and we need to verify, but given that seems to be what Donald Trump might have done, do you want to thank him for what he's done in the past 24 hours?
Look, I've got to be clear that the prevention of the Iranian regime obtaining a nuclear weapon is something that is in the interest of security in the region and our own security in the UK. I cannot deny that. It is true to say, like a lot of European countries, the UK wanted a peaceful, diplomatic resolution to this problem. That hasn't been possible, not least because of the behaviour of the Iranian regime themselves. But it's absolutely clear that we cannot allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon because of the activities they are engaged in the Middle East, but also against a country like ourselves, the threat from cyber attacks, the threat from activity on UK soil, which is wholly unacceptable. And to add a nuclear weapon, a nuclear capability to that mix would be a real threat to us.
And it was reported over the weekend that David Lammy was in Geneva acting almost as a direct interlocutor between the US and Iran on these negotiations. And with all fairness to him, that's an incredibly difficult task. Is it the fact that he didn't quite succeed in what he was trying to do that's resulted in these strikes happening?
Look, I think people would expect, quite rightly, the British government at a time like this to use whatever influence we have, even if it's not great, but to do whatever we can to try and get a peaceful diplomatic resolution. That is exactly what the Foreign Secretary has been doing. It's exactly what the Prime Minister was doing when he was at the G7. That was our objective. I accept it has not proved to be possible, and we are where we are today. But everyone has an interest in de-escalation and in stability.
Just one final question on this. If Iran were to attack British personnel or assets, would the government react with force?
Yes, we would take all steps necessary to protect British military and civilian assets, and have moved assets to the region in order to be able to protect ourselves if we're able and necessary to do so.
And so tomorrow you're rolling out your industrial strategy that you've been developing for some time. What does success look like on that in a way that the public can judge you on? Is it GDP? Is it wage growth?
Absolutely, it's business investment. This is a plan to drive up business investment in every part of the UK, and specifically to remove the barriers to our competitiveness, the things that are getting in the way. So they should judge us on action on things like energy prices for industry, on skills, so we've got the pipeline of people, new jobs for people coming in these industries of the future. Finance, so we don't just innovate in the UK, we scale up and have bigger companies, more economic activity in here. And of course, place. Does every part of the UK benefit from this? This is exactly what I think we are able to put forward this week, and I'm really excited by it.
And one large part of the announcement is these new technical excellence colleges. And for some time now, the teaching profession has been struggling to recruit teaching staff. Where are these teachers and these teaching staff going to come from?
Absolutely. So the packages we're going to announce as part of this, that I can announce today, include packages around things like engineering, digital and technology, defence, matching what we also did on construction skills earlier in the year. So it's new money, additional money, in order to go into making sure these places, these courses are there, because some of these, engineering for instance, costs a bit more money to put those courses on. So more funding into that and into the capacity of colleges, new technical excellence colleges, and able to have these and make sure they're available to every part of the country. So it's specifically more resource, more capacity to get what we need.
You mentioned that more resource, that more funding. This is one of a number of announcements in recent weeks that the government has made that comes with a significant cash injection. I'm thinking winter fuel, free school meals, defence investment. Which taxes are you going to be putting up in the autumn?
Well, the money we are allocating here is the money that we raised in the last budget. That's what this spending review is. So this is not about new expenditure or additional expenditure having to be raised through taxation. It's implementing the decisions that were in the last budget. And the focus that we have got, for instance, look at this package. Of course, it's what business needs, having the skills that we need, having the kind of energy prices that are competitive, having the finance businesses need to scale up. But it's also about a stronger economy, better jobs. More revenue comes from more people being in work, more economic activity, more businesses succeeding. So that is my focus. But this set of measures, it's not new money that will have to be paid for later. It's implementing the decisions that were in the last budget.
So to be clear, those things I listed, your announcements tomorrow, things like Sizewell C, those things in the past few months, no new taxes based on those investments.
That's right. So these are the spending decisions that relate to the budget that the Chancellor did after Labour first came to power. Plugging that black hole, that was difficult, I accept, but also raising money for public services and a lot more money for investment. One of the fundamental changes of Chancellor Rachel Reeves' approach compared to the Conservative governments of the past is our fiscal rules allow for a lot more investment, whether that's in energy, whether that's in infrastructure, whether that's in the kind of things we're talking about to really get the country going. It ultimately means better jobs, better living standards, better public services through more businesses succeeding in the UK.
And of course, in your role, you're always talking with businesses. But with regards to the specifics of this policy, how have you developed this with business?
So this has been something we've worked with very closely with business. We have an industrial strategy council, some of the leading business figures in the country are part of that. The green paper that we published generated one of the biggest ever responses from UK business. Over, I think, 27,000, 28,000 individual responses to the questions that we asked. And they will be asking, well, are the government going to listen? If we had big requests on energy or on skills or on finance, has the government responded to those? When they see the document, I think they'll recognise that we have.
And one final question. Today you've vowed to, quote, power the industrial strategy by investing in working people. What is a working person?
A working person is an ordinary working class person who generates the security, the money they need for their family by going out to do a job. And I think the kind of package of measures we've got in this industrial strategy, yes, it's what business needs, that's what business has asked for, but it means better jobs, better lives, better living standards for those people.
Are there any people you would call working people in the cabinet?
Yes. Myself and all of my colleagues, this is the most working class cabinet in British history in terms of our backgrounds and what we're trying to do, the places that we represent, the people we are, and the measures we're trying to put forward.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.